All right, let's unpack this. We are diving into a story about one of the most high-stakes, intensely public rivalries the NHL has ever seen. We're talking about a head-to-head spectacle that absolutely fueled arenas from Montreal to Boston for years.
For sure. It was everything.
It featured two-star captains, Shane Hollander and Ilya Rozanov, and their manufactured hatred basically defined the league narrative for a long time.
Hmm.
But what makes this deep dive so unique is that the real story wasn't on the ice at all. It was in the silence, the carefully constructed secrets, and this terrifyingly intense, 6-year-long intimate connection they shared hiding in plain sight.
And what's really fascinating here for you, the learner, is that we aren't just looking at some secret relationship. We're analyzing a complex system of operational security.
Mm.
And it was built around two people whose public identities were designed for maximum conflict. This was a partnership that was just predicated on a sheer dichotomy.
A dichotomy, yeah.
You have Shane Hollander, captain of the Montreal Voyageurs, who was rigorously marketed as the Prince of Hockey. His brand was, spotless, wholesome, Canadian dependable.
And when you say rigorously marketed, that's not an exaggeration. The sources give us the perfect visual proof of this corporate control. We learned that part of his endorsement contract with CCM meant he had to ensure that his CCM-branded athletic undershirts were visible on camera after every single game.
Wow. Every one.
Every single one. It guaranteed he looked clean, professional, and corporately aligned at all times. Everything about Shane was this polished, profitable lie designed to protect his image as the ultimate boy next door. That wholesomeness was the perfect airtight shield.
Precisely. And if Shane was the prince, his rival, Ilya Rozanov, captain of the Boston Bears, he was the self-proclaimed king, the rock star. He was the deliberate counterpoint. Cocky, undeniably talented, and built entirely on unbridled ego.
Yeah.
And we see how calculated this bad boy persona was, too, and those really specific details the source gives us.
Wait, reading the source notes here, one detail jumps out about Rosanov's public image that's so revealing. It's his unnaturally white teeth.
Oh, right.
They're highlighted because, well, most of them not being real, he's wearing an aggressive, almost dangerous mask of perfection. The strong jaw, the constant stubble, the pure swagger.
But it's all completely manufactured, almost a Hollywood-level persona.
Totally. He's so secure in his ego, he even publicly fought back against Cosmopolitan magazine for ranking him only 5th on the hottest man in the NHL list. He called the ranking generous.
He did, yes.
He was chaos personified, which was, again, the perfect countercover for Shane's control.
And it's so important to understand that this public hatred, it wasn't just media fodder. It was the foundation of the league's energy. And this intense pressure is what makes the reality of their secret connection so incredibly high stakes. We see this tension boil over immediately in our sources, said in October 2016. The Montreal Voyageurs suffer a humiliating 4-1 loss at home to the arch-rival Bears.
That defeat was just brutal, described as a grueling humiliation, and the worst part was the setting. Playing at home, where the fans are notoriously loud and passionate.
Right.
That level of fan devastation, it translates into this almost physical silence in the arena afterward, making the loss unbearable for Shane, who played 12 minutes of just frustrating hockey.
And that silence forces him immediately back into the high-level theater they perform. He has to face the press, manage his visible fatigue and anger, and then handle the inevitable Rozanov questions.
Of course.
The sources reveal that a reporter, who's clearly delighted to stir up the conflict, relays Rozanov's taunt that he wished you'd been playing tonight.
Oof, that's a direct insult to his performance and his captaincy. But Shane can't lose his temper. He has to feed the machine. So he delivers the required soundbite, assuring the media that he will definitely be at that game in Boston in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
He has to keep the rivalry narrative churning. I mean, it's exhausting just reading about the constant maintenance of these two warring personas.
It is.
But then, the moment the theater is over, the real security protocols kick in.
Exactly. His immediate destination isn't his official high-profile Westmount penthouse. It's a small, secret condominium located far less conspicuously in the Plateau district of Montreal. This is the operational core of their deception, a location nobody knew about.
Let's break down the security architecture of this condo, because it's a brilliant piece of tradecraft. It's not just a hideout, it's a perfect denial mechanism. Shane has maintained this property for over 3 years, yet he barely uses it. It's described as a demo condo that had been decorated by a professional house stager.
Right, a stager.
And the fridge, tellingly, Contains only 5 bottles of beer. Nothing lived in, nothing personal, nothing to suggest 2 people shared a life there.
So if anyone, by some wild chance, ever discovered this place, the most logical conclusion would be that it's a non-residential staging property or an investment he intended to flip. It just screams sterile, not scandalous. And this denial strategy goes even deeper because Shane owns the 2 upper floors as well, and the bottom floor is rented to a high-end kitchenware boutique.
So he controlled the entire building envelope?
The entire thing. He minimized external observation points and neighbors. He maximized physical privacy by minimizing any social evidence.
It's a monument not just to denial, as we originally thought, but to the operational necessity of the lie.
Yeah.
And Shane admits he's been telling himself he would sell the building for over 3 years, which just confirms his constant internal battle to end the relationship.
It does.
He waits 40 long minutes for Ilya to arrive. An agonizing delay that speaks volumes about the power dynamic. And he acknowledges the central, terrifying truth. As long as this was being offered, Shane would never be able to say no.
That's it right there.
The attraction overrides his ambition, his career, his entire public image.
And the power of that attraction is so evident in their initial dynamic, which is still defined by combativeness, even in private. Shane avoids any true emotional vulnerabilities, speaking to Ilya only through jokes or former obscenities, trying to maintain that critical emotional distance he uses as a shield in his public life.
But the internal planning is already pointless, as Shane knows. Even as he's mentally plotting the immediate termination, sell the condo, stay away when they play in Boston, focus purely on hockey, he realizes this connection rivals his entire professional ambition. For Shane Hollander, the carefully curated, the controlled prince of hockey, this connection with Ilya Rozanov is the one unpredictable, uncontrollable variable that threatens everything he has built.
Moving now to the genesis of this conflict, we realize the intensity didn't just appear fully formed during their NHL careers. It was forged years earlier under extreme competitive pressure. The initial spark of both the rivalry and the attraction, it dates back to the World Juniors tournament, which took place around Christmas time, likely in late 2010 or early 2011. This is before either player was even drafted.
And what's so immediate is Shane's almost visceral reaction to Ilya's appearance. He remembers specific, non-competitive details like the smattering of dark freckles.
Right.
That kind of physical observation, noted in the heat of an international rivalry, that signals that this was more than just professional interest right from the very start.
And the competitive power dynamic was established instantly. Ilya's Russian team took home the gold, while Shane's Canadian team suffered a public humiliation. And Ilya, maybe sensing his power, was immediately kind of a dick, as the source material notes.
Right.
He used the language barrier as a convenient excuse for his brusqueness, responding with the minimal "is fine" when Shane asked if his parents were there for the holidays.
Classic.
But the media, of course, they didn't see the awkwardness or the rudeness. They saw the talent and the contrasting personalities and immediately began building the framework of the legendary rivalry.
And Shane, despite the initial antagonism, became deeply invested, almost immediately falling into a state of obsession. He admits he became a little bit obsessed with Ilya Rozanov over the next 6 months leading up to the NHL draft.
He's tracking him.
Yeah, he knew personal details like Ilya's birthday details, far exceeding normal competitive surveillance.
And the real internal turning point, the point of no return for Shane's self-perception, it didn't even happen on the ice. It happened on draft day, the summer before their rookie season, during a casual shared gym session.
This detail is so pivotal. They are sitting on the gym floor, just wrapped in the adrenaline and emotion of being selected first and second overall. And Ilya casually offers Shane his water bottle. Shane's reaction is explosive and completely internalized. He stares longingly at Ilya's throat and Adam's apple and realizes with this dizzying clarity that he is half hard from simply being in close proximity to another man.
That realization is a psychological grenade. He's a young man, celebrated globally, whose entire identity is tied up in Canadian sports culture and a wholesomeness. And suddenly, he has this undeniable physiological response to his male rival. He immediately tries to rationalize it away, calling it adrenaline, the afterglow of the thrill of competition, or even a simple glitch in his brain that was just overwhelmed by the day's events.
But the body doesn't lie.
It doesn't.
And the consequences are immediate and far-reaching. He breaks up with his girlfriend, recognizing the relationship was already overdue and a necessary sacrifice. And more profoundly, he starts noticing men everywhere.
Not just teammates.
No, not just teammates, strangers in ordinary places.
Like?
Guys at airport Starbucks or in the cereal aisle. He's forced into this urgent, high-stakes reevaluation of his sexuality while simultaneously launching one of the highest-profile professional careers in modern sports history. The stakes could not be higher for this moment of self-discovery.
And this internal chaos contrasts so sharply with the stability Shane enjoyed during his rookie season. He was an only child, living close to his incredibly supportive parents, Una and David. His mother, whose parents immigrated from Japan, is described specifically as a rabid, knowledgeable hockey fan. Shane felt genuinely grateful for their emotional and financial support, which provided a stable bedrock that allowed him to focus on hockey, even while grappling with this huge secret.
Ilya's life, on the other hand, was defined by instability and toxic familial demands, which I think really fed his attraction to chaos.
Completely.
His success was constantly overshadowed by complex, distant family issues back in Russia. We learn his brother, Andrei, a police officer, wasn't calling for a familial chat, but to demand large, immediate sums of money like $20,000, vaguely for life.
Yeah, just life.
Ilya instantly assumes this money is for bad investments or gambling.
And he sends the money immediately, admitting he hates his asshole family and even his lingering accent. He's feeling intense pressure to perform and pay. This dynamic confirms his worth to his family is purely transactional.
It's sad.
The only time his brother bothered to follow his career, the source notes, was regarding his initial signing bonus. This constant internal pressure, coupled with the resentment toward his family, it really fueled his risk-taking behavior and his subsequent search for external validation and controlled chaos.
And this internal pressure becomes the foundation of their early secret hookups in hotel rooms. The high stakes and the danger are exactly what drew Ilya in.
Right.
We see the orchestrator dynamic during a 2014 All-Star Game meeting. Ilya communicates the necessary information only through a whisper. 1221.
That's it. Just the room number.
Yep.
And Shane shows up knowing in the pit of his stomach this is a bad fucking idea. But he's compelled by the danger and the sheer force of attraction. And this leads us to the heart of their sexual dynamic. Ilya is openly drawn to danger. He couldn't resist a risky situation, listing off past high-stakes encounters like the coach's son or his brother's girlfriend or his teammate's sister.
And Shane, despite being internally terrified of the professional implications, shows an almost extreme eagerness and determination to please, which Ilya absolutely savors.
Right.
The source material makes it clear that the idea that he might be the only one who ever saw the clean-cut prince of hockey this way, the only person who knew what it felt like to have those pretty pink lips wrapped around his cock, was a massive, intoxicating thrill for Ilya. Their dynamic was rooted in competition and the thrill of professional transgression.
But the need for secrecy wasn't just about protecting their reputations. It was an operational necessity for survival in a hostile environment.
Yeah.
Shane notes explicitly that homophobic slurs were thrown around enough in the NHL locker rooms that he couldn't imagine who would ever be brave enough to come out first. The fear of being discovered wasn't paranoia. It was a rational fear of career destruction.
And that fear drives their most extreme secrecy protocol, the shower. They agree to use the shower in the hotel room during their intimate moments specifically to drown out anything, mitigating the extreme risk of being overheard by neighboring players, staff, or even a cleaning crew.
Wow.
This isn't intimacy. It's a high-stakes, sound-dampened operation designed to neutralize the ever-present threat of a rumor that could end their careers instantly.
The detail about the shower is perhaps the most visceral evidence of the intense pressure they were under. It reduces a moment of private connection to a mechanical process, a necessary step in a security checklist. It really underscores that for years, their biggest competitive struggle wasn't against each other on the ice, but against the institutional homophobia that forced them into this life of suffocating secrecy.
As their careers move into the mid-phase, the stress of this dual life, it just becomes unmanageable. Both men desperately attempt to create emotional distance, primarily through highly public, external relationships. We first see the effect of external pressure on Ilya during the 2014 Sochi Olympics. Being back in his home country, Russia, put him immediately on edge.
This is a moment of profound internal conflict for Ilya. While he's representing his country, he's also witnessing the rapid and severe decline of his father, Grigory, who is showing undeniable signs of Alzheimer's.
Right.
We see the confusion. Grigory mistakes Ilya's deceased mother for his stepmother, Polina. The personal pain is immense, yet the professional obligations, they just continue.
And the obligations are tied directly to his father's professional network. Ilya is still required to maintain appearances, enduring his father's need to parade his famous son around the ballroom at a gala to meet the Minister of Internal Affairs, Grigory's boss.
I mean, can you imagine?
No. Ilya hated watching his father physically and mentally deteriorate, even admitting to wondering if it would be easier when Grigory's brain was fully gone. This trauma just feeds his detachment and his sense of impending chaos.
Meanwhile, Shane tries to fortify his own public shield, moving far beyond casual dating by starting a relationship with a famous actress, Rose Landry, in 2016.
Yeah.
And she is gorgeous, funny, and warm, and Shane feels it is genuinely the best connection he had made with a woman ever. He tries desperately to mold himself into a partner for her, even hiring a personal stylist because he felt like a slob next to her and her fashionable friends.
This was more than just a public relationship. It was a desperate attempt to manufacture a normal life for himself.
But that normalcy attempt immediately triggers an intense and visible jealousy in Ilya. Ilya's reaction isn't subtle. He starts actively seeking out women, making sure they look somewhat like Shane, specifically noting that a woman named Haley has dark hair and freckles.
A clear physical echo of the man he's obsessing over.
Totally. He attempts to convince himself that he has absolutely no interest in seeing Shane or Rose together.
But fate, as the source notes, was determined to rub Hollander in his face. The pivotal confrontation happens at a Montreal nightclub. Ilya spots Shane and Rose dancing, and he is instantly furious.
He moves across the dance floor, finds a girl, and initiates a wild, highly visible kiss. Crucially, the sources specify that the true audience was Shane. Ilya never took his eyes off Shane during the entire kiss.
It's performance art designed to hurt. Ilya admits to himself later that he might just be jealous of sharing his favorite toy, reducing Shane to an object of possessiveness.
Right, a toy.
But the analytical breakthrough here is that he ignores the realization that the feeling screaming for attention might be a third, deeper reason than simple possessiveness. It might be love. This jealousy forces him to confront the singularity of his attraction to Shane.
Yeah, ironically, the failure of that external relationship provided Shane with the psychological safety net he desperately needed for self-discovery.
It really did.
Rose, incredibly observant, recognizes the inherent flaw in their dynamic. The square peg in a round hole scenario, they just aren't supposed to fit together.
She initiates the conversation not out of malice, but out of care. She subtly opens the door, even suggesting Shane might prefer kissing their gay friend Miles, who she notes is low-key in love with Shane.
Yeah.
And the source notes highlight the immense relief Shane feels. The burden of lying is finally lifted by someone he respects.
He stops lying and makes his honest confession. He has been with a man, and the experience was better. Rose's acceptance allows him to clarify his identity, even if it's still being figured out. He defines his preference candidly. I kind of prefer to be the hole than the peg.
Rose's response is so essential for Shane's psychological peace. She promises they will be best friends, providing immediate unconditional support and acknowledging that Shane probably has nobody else to talk to about certain things.
She becomes his first true non-sexual confidant.
Exactly. A crucial psychological breakthrough that allows him to stop seeing his sexuality as a defect and start seeing it as a reality.
And this external resolution for Shane coincides with the deepening of his emotional connection with Ilya through crisis. The conversations shift dramatically. Ilya starts texting Shane far more frequently, discussing hockey and life, moving beyond the usual terse, discreet hookup arrangements. The foundation is shifting from purely physical risk to genuine emotional reliance.
The real emotional crisis hits in March 2017 with the death of Ilya's father, Grigory. Ilya travels to Moscow, admitting he feels genuinely bad. He reveals the brutal reality of his family dynamic. His stepmother, Polina, is scared for herself because Grigory left absolutely no money. The family now sees Ilya primarily as an ATM, only useful for paying expenses. The financial fragility of his toxic family is just laid bare.
And this specific moment permanently shifts their relationship. Shane attempts an incredible, selfless gesture during the call. He suggests Ilya vent by speaking entirely in Russian, despite Shane not understanding a single word.
Yeah.
His offer was, "Tell me everything you want to say. Maybe it will help."
That gesture is so profound because it asks for nothing in return. It's an offering of pure support and presence, transcending language barriers. Ilya later recognizes the significance, realizing this gesture meant Shane was being a true friend, offering selfless comfort when he was drunk, alone and grieving in his Moscow condo.
And the conversation ends with two incredibly intimate and revealing details that confirm their emotional commitment. Ilya confesses, "I am not alone. You are here now. Yes." Shane provides mental presence by vividly describing his Montreal apartment, the navy blue bed, the unused fancy kitchen anchoring Ilya in a shared reality.
But the most significant detail is Shane's confession that he made a donation to the Alzheimer's Society of Canada in Grigory's name. This gesture connects directly to Ilya's deep-seated concern that the disease might be hereditary, addressing his most private, future-focused fear. This moves them firmly past mere rivals or lovers and into the territory of committed emotional partners. The internal emotional shift they experienced during Grigory's death really prepared them for the massive external event that would finally shatter the League's silence. The catalyst was Scott Hunter, the New York Admiral's captain, who wins the Stanley Cup and, in a moment of immense televised bravery, publicly kisses his boyfriend, or probable boyfriend, as the source notes on television.
The reaction is immediate and telling. The cameras cut away instantly. That rapid shift, even during a moment of professional triumph, highlights the lingering institutional fear and the fact that the NHL landscape was still far from fully accepting.
Oh, yeah.
But the act itself was irreversible. It was the crack in the foundation of homophobia that Ilya needed to see.
And Shane is frantic, texting Ilya, "Holy shit, are you seeing this? What the fuck? Is that his boyfriend?"
Right.
The consequence for Ilya is immediate and definitive. He calls Shane, saying only, "I'm coming to the cottage." This wasn't a request. It was a declaration that the game had fundamentally changed, and they needed to urgently strategize a path forward.
But despite the external shift, Shane, the cautious prince of hockey, is still deeply paranoid about managing the risk.
Still.
He drives his practical Jeep Cherokee, which Ilya instantly mocks as a suburban dad car, to pick Ilya up at the airport. Shane worries constantly that being revealed as two men who secretly fucked each other would still make them a joke, even with Hunter's example.
His career focus is still on being the best player, not a punchline or a political statement.
And his paranoia is rational, given their past. Shane notes that even Scott Hunter would be alarmed if he knew the complexity and sheer duration of the 6-year secret Shane and Ilya had maintained.
Oh, for sure.
The destination is Shane's large, remote, stone-front lake house in Ontario, the cottage chosen explicitly for absolute solitude. To achieve this, Shane had to escalate the lie, telling his parents he needed 2 weeks of solitude for intense mental training meditation. The level of necessary deception is reaching a fever pitch.
And during these 2 weeks of isolation in July 2017, the boundaries of their relationship are tested and redefined. Ilya makes the first huge leap of emotional vulnerability by admitting he has not been with anyone else since their last encounter.
That's huge.
It is. It reinforces the singularity and emotional depth of their connection. It was never just a casual hookup for either of them.
And Ilya begins testing Shane's tolerance for public reality, too. He reveals he went to a gay bar in Las Vegas with Scott Hunter and his boyfriend, calling the experience exciting.
But Shane's reaction is not approval, it's clenched disapproval. Shane is okay with the reality of his life, but he's terrified of the visibility. It illustrates the internal struggle between self-acceptance and professional survival that still defined him.
This confrontation of their future leads directly to Ilya confessing his central problem. He admits he likes women and always thought he would marry and have kids, fulfilling a traditional societal expectation. But the problem will not go away. His singular obsessive attraction to Shane. He acknowledges being constantly surrounded by beautiful women, wonderful women, but they simply don't ignite the same fire as Shane does. He's resigned to the fact that Shane is his one and only true connection.
And immediately, a significant professional threat emerges that forces Shane's hand. Ilya raises the possibility of solving his perpetual visa issues through a marriage of convenience.
Right.
He mentions marrying Svetlana, Sergei Vetrov's daughter, for American citizenship, calling it a sensible business deal.
This proposal represents the complete negation of their shared emotional future. Shane's reaction is pure, unfiltered panic, the sound of his carefully constructed retirement dream just collapsing.
He blurts out the immediate high-stakes prohibition, "Don't marry Svetlana, we can figure something else out." This moment is the point where Shane fully, verbally commits to building a viable, shared future with Ilya.
In Shane, the ultimate planner, the man who manages his entire career with clinical precision, immediately devises the Ottawa plan. Ilya had previously suggested moving west to make the rivalry fade away, a scenario Shane hated because they would only see each other twice a year.
Mm-hmm.
Shane's counterproposal is a logistical masterpiece.
Let's break down the strategic genius of the Ottawa plan. First, it significantly reduces the profile of the Boston-Montreal rivalry, allowing the media narrative to slowly fade.
Right, that's step one.
Second, it allows them to be physically close all year round, only an hour apart, which facilitates their private life. Most critically, it enables Ilya to sign with a Canadian team and begin the application process for Canadian citizenship.
A far safer, more predictable route than a high-profile sham convenience marriage to Svetlana.
Much safer. And Shane verbalizes the full extent of his long-term emotional investment, laying out their impossible 6-year-long dream. Maybe, someday, when we both retire, we can be together. For real.
And Ilya is visibly stunned by this level of foresight and commitment, having always viewed Shane as too controlled to plan that far ahead emotionally. Shane's reply, "I do about this," confirms that Ilya is the single exception to his professional compartmentalization. They agree that the shared high-stakes retirement goal is the future they want. This meticulously planned future, centered on the Ottawa strategy, is nearly destroyed by an incredibly mundane and accidental climax.
So mundane.
Shane's father, David, arrives unexpectedly at the remote cottage, not because he suspected anything, but because he ran out of dishwasher tablets.
A completely ordinary detail crashing into a moment of high drama. David walks in on Shane and Ilya on the deck, wearing wet shorts right after an intimate moment.
Oh my gosh.
Shane's careful 6-year plan to ease them into it, the plan he'd perfected with Rose, the plan built around the Ottawa move, is instantly ruined.
And despite the shock, they drive immediately to Shane's parents' cottage to confess. Shane blurts out the first necessary step. "I'm gay."
And his mother, Una, who knows him intimately, is immediately relieved, admitting they suspected this might be the case, noting they know him pretty well.
So that pressure is gone.
Instantly released by his mother's calm affirmation.
And the emotional stakes escalate when they introduce Ilya. Shane attempts to define their relationship status, but Ilya jumps in with the explicit label, "lovers."
And Shane immediately corrects him, revealing the true feeling. I mostly love him, actually. This subtle verbal exchange confirms that for Shane, the attraction has matured into a genuine, committed love.
And the timeline is what truly floors the parents. Shane admits they've been doing stuff since their rookie year, but Ilya, ever competitive and precise, corrects him a little before, since the summer before the draft.
The realization that their son has been maintaining this life-altering secret for 6 long years leads David Hollander to quietly state, "You've been holding the secret inside the whole time." The emotional weight of that long silence is finally acknowledged.
But Una, the rabid, knowledgeable hockey fan, she cuts through the emotional drama to ask the most critical, most professional question, the true litmus test for the Hollander family.
Yes.
You didn't ever let him win, did you, Shane? This single question confirms the family's core values. Professional integrity and the integrity of the game supersedes personal identity.
And Shane vehemently denies it. The team comes first, always. And besides, I like beating him.
And Ilya backs him up perfectly, saying, "He does not need to let me win." The mutual respect for their competition is what makes the acceptance unconditional and complete. The rivalry, they confirm, was always genuine.
And this unconditional acceptance allows Ilya to make his full, sober declaration, looking directly at Shane. "I have been with lots of women, but I have only been in love with one person." And Shane returns the commitment. "Me too, just one." This public confession of singular love causes Una to immediately shift from shock to her natural state. Problem-solving mode.
Right. We've got a problem, let's solve it. The logistical challenges of their secret life are now a family project.
And the relationship status is officially sealed. Shane asks Ilya, boyfriend, and Ilya grins, confirming, "I think, yes." Shane seals it, yes.
So the long-term strategy immediately moves forward, fueled by the family support. Ilya signs with the Ottawa Senators, fulfilling the Ottawa plan. They will only face each other twice a year, ensuring the intense, destructive rivalry narrative can finally fade from the front pages.
And the final piece of their commitment puzzle involves a strategic real estate move. They buy a house together in Brossard, near Shane's practice rink. This is deliberately chosen over an apartment building because a detached house offers significantly better secrecy for their off-season and shared life. And while they decide to keep the relationship secret from Shane's teammates, the source notes that Hayden Pike, Shane's smart teammate, eventually does the math and figures it out, showing that even with maximum security, true connection cannot be completely hidden.
The commitment is cemented with Ilya's grand, slightly ridiculous future dream, a proposal planned for the cottage dock after they both retire once he has his Canadian citizenship. He explicitly promises to ask Shane to marry him, using their bond to expedite his citizenship process.
And Shane, laughing but earnest, confirms he will say yes, promising he will still be madly in love with you.
So the ultimate success is that the public-private divide remains, but the internal pressure is finally gone.
It's gone. They continue to mock and fight publicly on the ice. Shane notes this publicly that he has terrible taste in men for friends and boyfriends. But now, the rivalry is an intricate competitive layer of their commitment, not a shield against it. We see this in the final playful post-game text exchange, where Ilya gives Shane his new hotel room number for a future meeting. 11:26, followed by Shane's delighted reply. Seriously, best news ever. See you soon.
The code words are gone.
All gone, replaced by mutual anticipation.
This deep dive provides just an extraordinary look at sustained commitment under impossible pressure. We've charted an intimate secret maintained for over 6 years, navigating the intense hostility of the professional sports world, the toxic demands of Ilya's family, and the profound crisis of identity that Shane faced at the height of his career.
Exactly. The contrast of their public personas was the perfect necessary cover. Shane's wholesome prince image and Ilya's rock star reputation were both essential masks.
They were.
Shane needed the wholesome reputation to deflect any suggestion of deviance. And Ilya's bad boy image provided the perfect cover for slipping out for a late-night liaison without question. Even their respective career focuses, Shane on the scoring race, Ilya on the cup, were essential professional distractions from their shared debilitating secret.
The core insight we extract is this. Their deepest conflict wasn't the rivalry on the ice, which was genuine, but the immense societal and professional pressure that forced two successful people to live a life built on an intense 6-year-long lie. Every moment of professional glory, whether it was an MVP race or Stanley Cup final, was constantly undermined by the crippling, ever-present fear of being discovered, outed, and made a joke.
Right.
The true moment of greatest relief and victory wasn't winning a championship. It was the simple, unconditional acceptance of Shane's parents.
So what does this all mean for you, the learner? We often celebrate the massive, visible acts of courage, like Scott Hunter's immediate televised coming out, which happens in a flash of glory. But we rarely analyze the slow, agonizing courage required to maintain a devastating secret for years while simultaneously navigating extreme professional success.
It raises an important question for you to consider, based on the high stakes of the professional environment. If your greatest happiness, your true partner, your long-term future goal could only be achieved through the potential for immediate professional ruin, how long would you choose to hide? And how much of your professional identity would you sacrifice to maintain that lie?